Out of Georgia. Next up, the men's 60-meter dash. The world record holder, Ben Johnson, the Canadian, set back in 1987, 6.41 seconds. The 60-meter dash, we've got a great field, including from the Soviet Vladimir Krylov. Calvin Smith is here out of the Adidas Track Club, the world champion in the 200 meters. Emmit King out of the New Balance Track Club. Lee McRae out of Pittsburgh. Stanley Floyd out of the Puma Track Club. And a couple of Soviets are here as you look at the warm-ups.
Well, Emmit King has been running well. He won in Dallas, and he should be the favorite right now. You're seeing Calvin Smith, who's a tall, lanky runner. He held the world record in the 100 meters before Ben Johnson.
All right, the men's 60-meter dash is up next, Larry. Lee McRae, the American record holder in this event, and the world record holder at 55 meters. Lee McRae will be in lane number 2. We are told that Lee is not in the best of shape. And alongside, in lane 3, maybe the one to watch, Marty, Emmit King, second last night.
That's Emmit King. He won in Dallas. He was second last night up in New York. He's having a good season. He's one of the quick starters, a veteran indoor runner. Lee McRae had a great year last year, was second in the world indoor championships. Calvin Smith is at a disadvantage. He's not a great starter. He's a little taller than the rest of the guys, but he's one guy at the end of the season, when you get to the world championships and the world rankings, he's always run well. He was second in the 200 meters in the world last year, held the world record in the 100. And there's the Soviet Brizgin, who probably is in over his head tonight.
And Vladimir Krylov alongside from the Soviet Union in lane 6. What will the Soviets learn from competition here at George Mason?
Well, I think they'll take home a lot of videotapes of our athletes and study form. You can't learn too much about strategy when it comes to the sprint. It's in lanes. You just run as fast as you can, and the guy with the fastest time usually wins. Obviously, there's a lot of nerves that go into it, so what they're mainly learning is not to idolize these people who they read about all the time in the magazines. They've got to get on the track with them a couple of times.
How about the Soviet coaches, Marty? Will they talk with the American coaches about training techniques, about weights, about diet?
I don't think there's too much that goes between those two countries. Whatever it is, it's usually misinformation.
A good look at number 108, Lee McRae out of Pittsburgh in lane 2. Emmit King in lane 3, number 105. Those are the two to watch, the two favorites for the men's 60-meter dash. It's a little bit like Eric Dickerson with the goggles on, doesn't it? The two Soviets in lane 5 and 6, Brizgin and Krylov. Started. Might have been McRae, I think, who got out of the box a little quickly. You never had to worry about lack of concentration here. You had 4 minutes to straighten out.
The Soviet athlete was about a day ahead of the rest of the field right there. But you get 2 of them, and sometimes if you feel like you're overmatched, you might as well try and time the gun. It's interesting that Nehemiah, I think, said this week that he's been trying to anticipate the gun. And the good guys try not to do that. They try to react to the gun. It's a bad habit to try and guess the starter.
That's Victor Brizgin of the Soviet Union. Vladimir Krylov is alongside in lane 6. Again, Lee McRae out of Pittsburgh in lane 2. Emmit King out of New Balance in lane 3. The women's 60-meter dash, the results: Pam Marshall, Vivian Spence, and Pat Davis.
That was the first heat.
That was in the first heat. And, of course, it was Gwen Torrance who beat Evelyn Ashford in the last couple of strides in the second heat, the one we showed you before that terrible fall by Gwen out of Georgia. But she's up and okay, and she equaled the American record. Here are the men set to go. Lane 2, Lee McRae. Lane 3, Emmit King, the two to watch. This time it was clearly Lee McRae in lane 2.
Well, this is a poker game here. You know, when you're on live TV, it always seems like we get a lot of false starts. But there's a lot going down there when this happens. Now the whole complex of the race changes because Lee McRae has a great start, but now it's just been taken away from him. He's got to sit in the blocks and make sure he doesn't jump or he's out of this race this time. Now we can start making bets as to who the next man to jump would be. My guess would be maybe Calvin Smith would try and get one the next time, because in the back of his mind, he knows that Emmit King right next to him has a little bit better start. So if he can time the starter on this third time around, he'd have an advantage.
Smith in lane 4.
Really went. I haven't seen a false start that bad since I ran the 100 in the Superstars. And I knew they didn't call anybody back, and I went about 3 seconds before the gun went off and still just managed to get fifth.
You got that false start. You were headed for Heather Locklear.
I waited all my life to be in an event where I could even take a false start.
Krylov, the Soviet in lane 6, by the way, in the upper left-hand side of your screen. He was third last night at the Olympic Invitational. Good start. Lane 2, Lee McRae. Lane 3, Emmit King. Here they all come. It's McRae and King. King and McRae. Emmit King out of New Balance Track Club gets the win. Lee McRae clearly in the second spot.
And that is not too far off of the American record. 6:55, the unofficial time. The American record is 6:5. Lee McRae in lane 2 was out first, but watch Emmit King in the black uniform in the middle of the track. He just keeps his concentration, keeps his head perfectly still, pumps the arms, and Emmit King, a big guy. All the top sprinters these days seem to look like bodybuilders.
As they come toward you, it's Lee McRae in lane 2. He'll finish up second. Emmit King with a big burst from 30 meters in. He gets the win, and it was a photo for the third spot. Emmit King, the winner of the Mobile Grand Prix in sprints in 84 and 85, got first in the men's 60-meter dash. Lee McRae the second spot. Calvin Smith got the third spot in a very close finish with the Soviet Vladimir Krylov.